All right, welcome back. It is the next day and we are going to assemble the B15, what is it? It's a D15b8 with the Y7 head. So it is a mini-me swap basically. I think today we're only going to do the bottom end. We may get to the head, but I want to focus on the bottom end mostly, just to make sure everything is put together correctly and sealed and tight. So the first two things we're going to do is get the water pump and the oil pump installed. And like I said, I was going to put some gasket maker on the water pump just because of this right here, the uncertainty of that, but I think it'll be fine. And it goes on like this. We just need to get a bolt in there. Let's go find the rest of them. We got 4 bolts. Actually, we only need 3, don't we? And we need our wrench. Got a mess of stuff on my table over there. The short one goes in the hole where we had the drill, and I've noticed it's kind of sideways. It's not perfectly straight, but you know, it still holds. I'm not too worried about it, so as long as it holds, that's all that matters. And that one feels like it's not going to tighten down real well, but that's pretty much it. But all right, we got the water pump on, and while I'm thinking about it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. All right, let's move on to the oil pump. I have it all assembled and cleaned up the surfaces. I put a new gasket in there. I thought I had a new gasket for up here, but I don't. So I think this one's just gonna have to work. I mean, it's within the oil pump, or within the oil pan. Hopefully it'll be okay. Who knows? So I'm gonna put a little RTV around here. That way it seals up to here pretty nicely. All right, we got our RTV on here. Let's put our oil pump up here. All right, and I wish I had a new gasket here, but I don't. So I think maybe before I get the crank and everything, then I'll put that on there. And I feel like I'm missing a bolt. One thing I do have to make sure of is the arrow. I would say that's probably in the same spot. Because this is a Y7 oil pump that I'm putting on the D15b8. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can use the crank positioning sensor, and that's why I had to fill that hole. Because on the Y series engines, the Y7, Y8, the dipstick is right here. I think there's one more screw that needs to go in there. Let me find that. All right, we found our other bolt. So now we have our oil pump and our water pump installed. Let's flip it over and get the oil pan on. All right, so the first thing you need to do is put your pickup tube on. You got a bolt here, a bolt on this side, and then you have 2 10 mils down here. Those are pretty important because if you don't have a pickup, then oil can't get to your oil pump, and then your engine starves of oil. Doesn't matter how much oil is in the car, it ain't gonna get pumped through the engine. And remember all the metal stuff that was in there? Well, I cleaned it out and a bunch of stuff came out. It was full of pieces of metal. Ugga, ugga, ugga. Ugga, ugga, ugga. Ugga, ugga, ugga. Ugga, ugga, ugga. All right, we got those torqued down, and now onto the oil pan. Let's put the oil pan on there. One thing to keep in mind, because I am using the Y7 oil pump, you have to use the Y7 oil pan, and I just learned that because if you look right here, it'll drop right in, but over here it will not, because the studs are in a different location, and really it's only this one, and it's just barely. This one sits in just a tiny bit more than that one. I know it doesn't look like it, but it does. So you have to use the Y7 oil pan. And then also what you want to do is this section right here, the gasket always has trouble sealing, especially in the corners. So go ahead and put some gasket maker all through here on both sides, and also on the oil pan. All right, let's get it on there and bolt it down. After looking at it with the pan on, it looks like I need to put a gasket maker because there's a bit of a gap all up in here. Same thing with over here, and I'm gonna put a big blob here in the corners. I know you're not supposed to use gasket maker on rubber gaskets, but I mean, I don't understand why it would hurt. All right, we got the gasket on there. It's popped out a little bit, but that's fine. You don't want to mushroom it completely where it squeezes out. I think I might have got a little bit too much over here, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to unloosen it and redo it. And over here you don't see any gaps. You can't really see any because of all the gasket maker that squeezed out, but I don't think there's any gaps. Same thing over here. And I've got a new rear main seal, and if I would have thought ahead, I would have replaced this before I put the oil pan on, because you can literally unscrew the metal bracket that holds the rear main seal. But no big deal, I can just pop it out and then put the new one in. Alright, next we need to put the water pipe back on. It goes this way, and it has this little rubber seal right here, a little O-ring. This one looks pretty good, so I'm not going to replace it. But I am going to put some gasket maker on it. You know, it is what it is. Extra safety, I guess. Alright, so there's some long skinny bolts that go in here. I can't find them, and it is getting kind of dark out. The carport isn't lit very well. I have that light and that's it. I need some overhanging lights. That would be really nice. So I'm going to end this portion of the video here and pick back up tomorrow. Alright, we are back. It's the next day. I went ahead and got this bolted on, the water pipe that goes along the back of the engine that connects to the thermostat housing. And there's a couple little differences compared to the D15b8 versus the Y7. This one has a water line here, and this one, the water line comes out of the center, which I don't think that's gonna be a big deal. it is, you know, what it is. I honestly don't think it's gonna be a problem at all. Now I did install the studs. I don't know if they're gonna work though, because if you see, this one's longer than the rest of them, and I don't have this one just because when we put the head on that block, that one stud broke, and they were brand new, so kind of weird. And I went ahead and got the mount switched over because it did not come with a mount, and plus I don't know if the D15b8 mount would even work anyway, so we snagged it off of the Y7 block. And even though we did use the B8 water pipe and thermostat housing, we grabbed this from the Y7 because the one off the B8, it just looked disgusting. And I guess the last thing is we got the alternator bracket installed onto the block. And that's pretty much all I've done today. We did take the intake manifold off of the head, the Y7 head, because I think I'm going to go back with the original Y7 intake manifold, which means I'm going to have to take a trip to the junkyard in order to get that. And as far as the oil pan gasket, it is a D15b8 oil pan gasket. I probably should have used the Y7 just because I'm using a Y7 oil pan, but it seems to be okay. It fits. It did have some lining up issues here in the corners and over here, but I think it'll be fine. You know, I guess time will tell. But again, yeah, if I were to do this again, I would order a Y7 oil pan gasket. But again, I didn't know that I had to use this oil pan because the studs on the Y7 oil pump are different from the B8 oil pump. I mean, they're just off a tiny bit, just a hair. And I probably could have made it work, but I just don't like forcing stuff into a position that doesn't want to be. I think that would just cause problems in the long run. So anyway, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and end the video here, and then in the next video we'll take care of the head and get that cleaned up, get that installed, and deal with the head and the timing all in one video. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video.